Hello, and welcome to Django Fundamentals. My name is Christopher Roach, and I'll be your tour guide throughout this tutorial. In this course, you'll go from an absolute Django noob to knowing pretty much everything you need to know to develop your very own web applications in Django. But before we get started, let's answer a couple of questions. The first of which is simply, what is Django? Well, Django bills itself as the web framework for perfectionists with deadlines, and it's earned that title. Born out of the fast-paced world of online news, the framework had to be easy to use to minimize developer cycles in order to meet the tough, deadline-driven schedules of the newsroom while still meeting the strict standards set by its experienced developers. But what makes Django so different? Why should you bother learning it? In other words, why Django? Well, a common meme amongst the Python community is that creating a web framework is sort of a rite of passage. Given the glut of web frameworks available for Python, why would you want to learn Django specifically? What makes it so special? Well, there are plenty of good reasons, nearly all of which are subjective, but I want to quickly list some of my favorite reasons and hopefully pique your interest for learning Django at the same time. First and foremost, Django is a Python framework. If you're just learning your first programming language, you can't go wrong with Python. It's easy to learn, it reads just like pseudocode, and quite powerful. It's general purpose, unlike other languages such as PHP, so you can use it for pretty much anything. Finally, unlike other similar languages, such as Ruby for example, there seems to be no one single area of the Python community that outweighs the others. Let me explain what I mean by this. Since Python and Ruby are so similar in the markets they serve, let's just go ahead and keep using Ruby as our example language. While Ruby is a really great language, it never really caught on outside of Japan until after David Heinemeier Hansson created the Rails framework for it. After that, its popularity skyrocketed. Given the popularity of Rails, the developer community of Ruby tends to be somewhat more skewed towards the web development side of things. Python, on the other hand, has a much more balanced community of developers. It's even widely used in the academic community as a research tool. Scientists just seem to love it. Now, while the use of Python by some academic in an ivory tower somewhere probably doesn't seem like much of an argument to learn or even to use a language, bear in mind that much of the excitement around the web today is focused on big data. Machine learning and social network analysis are no longer topics simply for academic publications anymore. Instead, they pass through the lips of web developers on a daily basis, and a language like Python that has the full weight of the academic community behind it has libraries for dealing with this data in spades. For example, just install NumPy, SciPy, and Matplotlib, and you've got a tool that rivals MATLAB and Mathematica for analyzing your data. The next reason you'll want to use Django is that it's a full stack framework. What this means to you is that everything you need to develop a web application comes right in the box. Everything from the object relational manager that you'll use to model your data, all the way up to the templating language that you'll use to write your web pages comes installed with Django. No need to install anything else. Also, Django is just Python. What I mean by this is that there's not a lot of magic or abstraction layered on top of Python. Whereas Ruby on Rails uses Ruby's flexible syntax to create a powerful domain-specific language for web development, Django just uses simple Python and nothing more. If you're a programmer, you'll really appreciate this fact. By not covering up Python with layer after layer of abstraction, the authors of Django have created a framework that leverages your knowledge as a programmer. Where Ruby on Rails provides a DSL for web developers, Django, in essence, provides a DSL for programmers. Django has been around, publicly at least, since 2005, and it's arguably the most popular of the Python web frameworks. This means that you'll never have to look very far when trying to find help with a problem. In Django, the app is the primary unit of software reuse, and there's a very active community of app developers for Django. So, if you go with Django for your next project, you won't be spending all of your time reinventing the wheel. Finally, there's the Django admin interface. Where Ruby on Rails has scaffolding that creates a bare-bones CRUD interface to your data model to help you get started, Django comes with a full-power, full-featured administrative interface over your data. Right out of the box, you'll have a professional interface that you can use to interact with your data model. You can even go so far as to give your users accounts and allow them access to your data through the powerful admin interface. At the very least, it's nice to have instant access to your data model through a professional, full-featured interface during development. So those are just some of the reasons for learning Django. If you're ready to learn more, join me during the rest of this series, where we'll be using Django to construct a Hacker News clone. If you're unfamiliar with Hacker News, it's a simple news aggregation site similar to Reddit or Dig. Check it out. There's great content on there for anyone with a hacker and or entrepreneurial mindset. In the next episode, we'll get started by setting up our development environment. We'll be using a couple of great tools for creating sandboxed virtual environments. So make sure you meet me back here again for the very next episode. I'll see you then.